something new is happening, an initiation, a reset. Some energy has been released, that which no longer serves. And now there's space. There's space for other aspects of being to flow. And the recalibration period is an interesting one as the mind tries to narrate what is happening in the energy body. Perspective has been shifted. Energy just waiting in limbo to be reassigned. Hi, I'm Davi Jenda of at figure.8.energy, or We Light Beings, like WELIGHTBEANZ. On Instagram. That thought you just saw right there is a grand example of what it feels like to be in this moment right now. The operating as and the reflection also in real time. And so I pulled a spread of cards from the Unveiling the Golden Age Visionary Tarot Experience by Izzy. And the first one is a reminder: in it, but not of it. And on this card, the tiger, the wise tiger energy that's there. Third eye activation. So the perspective is broad. You can see lots of things, lots of directions. And that tiger energy, wisdom, has a sprite on the shoulders. A sprite in the sense of a whimsical being that is aware of the different elements outside of the main ones that we're taught of: the earth, fire, water, air. There's ether. There's lots of magic. And this being is tapped into it. This being has a gourd of rainbow energy light. This is abundance and manifestation. All of this abundance pouring out, sprinkling this energy everywhere, because they are connected to it all and they have the foresight of it all. The tiger has their paws on Gemini and Cancer. And this is not saying if you're a Gemini or Cancer, this is exactly for you, but if it feels right, it could be for you. And it's also just speaking about the energies of these signs. Gemini, analytical, right? Extroverted, social, but also can be that hermit introvert as well, because there are so many different things that are being seen. And they like to translate and they like to communicate, right? So this is an energy of seeing it all, analyzing everything, wanting to do something with it, knowing that you have a part in it all, but trying to figure out where to put the energy, because the other paw is on Cancer. So it's the energy of nurture. It's a water sign, so it feels the flow of things. It feels family, community. Soul fam is part of family. Okay, they're not two separate things. We're all one. And so that's the major considerations that are being made during this time. Realizing that you have the foresight, you have the ability to, the energy is there. And you're feeling all the different ways that it could be utilized. So instead of allowing yourself to feel like just a pawn in the mechanism of there's this feeling of, hey, I am operating in this world. And it's not to destroy the matrix, right? It's not to be a part of the matrix. It's to be an influence in all of it. An influence in a way where you can see how things are and learn how to weave your way in it. You're of the stars, and you're playing in this world that has a lot of elements, has a lot of things going on, a lot of energies at play. And you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, navigating all of it. The Piscean energy is coming up as well, where it's this energy of fluidity and the ability to be extremely connected to your intuition, to divine energy, to the knowing of all. And you've got these rings that spin around you that symbolize energy, constant flow of energy, like this very, very powerful force. And then we have the 9 of Light codes, which is persistent presence. It's an energy where you feel, yes, your individual fractal of source, but you also see how source is playing in, acting through, existing everywhere in everything. So you're feeling that, and you're feeling how your energy shifts when influenced by others' energies as well. When I say others' energies, I'm not even strictly speaking about humans. I'm speaking about animals. I'm speaking about trees. I'm speaking about food. I'm speaking about material things. You're feeling your programs, right? Your energetic program. But maybe not necessarily knowing where that program should go, right? Or maybe you do know where it should go, and there's some resistance from starting. There's a resistance for starting because you're waiting for something else, some other part of your being to be activated. And perhaps you feel as if you're one of those beings who, though you have a physical body, there are other codes inside of you. Extended DNA strands have lots of codes that are waiting to be activated, and they're activated by energetic resonance. And so maybe a greater thing to realize is that when things are happening with other people, other beings, you're bumping into these other energies and you can perceive something to be negative, right? Because it makes you feel uncomfortable with these humanly emotions, and it's making you question a lot of different things. And so you allow all of that to come up and be on this platform. You feel it exists in it because it's very real. Then you're also like, oh my goodness, because this interaction happened, it activated something in the DNA that said, hey, you are ready because you engaged with this interaction in a way that was ready for evolution, where you sat in it and you were like, wow, I'm feeling these really real, very real things, and I can attribute why I might be feeling them and understand that this is not me. These are aspects of me, and I get to choose. I get to choose how to react, how to move going forward. Just take in all of the information for what it is. And so perhaps you are feeling that activation deep within the DNA that's in your bones. I'm feeling guided to remind the collective that is still here, the collective that is tapped into this. I might have just lost it. Hold on. Cellular clarity. Cellular clarity is so very important because our bodies are 60% water. Yeah, I know there's this whole thing about 70% water, but it was based off of studies that were talking about the maximum potential of women of humans to have water in their body, and it was the infants who had the 70% range, and it was like 65 and 55 for men, women, and then it, there's all these other theories that interact with it as well. That's beyond the point. What the point is that we have a lot of water in our bodies regardless, so we still are feeling energetic uh, interferences or collisions or anything of that sort very strongly in our body, right? That's why we feel all these emotions. We don't just see them, we feel them, and then we like analyze them and use our intellectual nature to go through all of it. But when there is not clarity in your cells, it makes it very hard to even process the emotion. So then you just become more of a victim in it because you're like feeling all of it. And then your mind's not able to get through to like detox certain things or like really read the codes that are in it. And so keeping hydrated during this time, and I'm talking about hydration in the sense of things that are alkaline. Yeah, there are waters that you can get that have minerals in them that are alkaline as well. You can also get spring water. You can drink um, cold pressed juices. You can eat lots of fruits as well. These are all very like alkaline, hydrating um, foods, nutrients. Like these are the things that your body needs to help your systems detox and continue to flow, to have the energy flow through you, not become stagnant. Because what happens when we eat a lot of these foods that are really high in fat, or foods that take a long time to break down in our system, or foods that have a lot of just like extra stuff in it that isn't of a biological nature, it's just extra information for your body to process. And so it's acting as a hindrance for you being able to actually process the things that are happening in real time, because they're just like getting stuck in you. And so you're feeling a little bit more stagnant. And there are times absolutely that are optimal for having more dense foods in your body when you might not want so much energy to flow, like nighttime, for instance. And so I would just recommend having your like higher vibrating things during the risings, when your body's already gone through this detox cycle because you've been fasting overnight while you're not sleeping, adding hydration in there, and specifically things that will help to also elevate the blood sugar as well. So like fruit, cold pressed juices is where I'm getting at, or smoothies, or juicy fruits, things along that nature would really help with this whole process. So, our next one is navigate from the heart. Okay, navigating from the heart space right here. And that means that whenever there are things that are coming up, when you are processing all of this, you take that information and then you channel it through your heart. And our heart spaces as a human collective during this time is very sensitive, and there's a lot of things coming out of it. And so a lot of the ways that people react will be because of an energetic program that has been stamped in their heart space. And whenever we're doing chakra work, right, depending on the way that you're viewing the energy when it's coming up, you are accessing different layers of things that are happening in the chakras. And so if you think of the energy as like a spiral coming out, and then, like, you pull it up, like there's space in between these layers. And in the same way that levitation works, when you emit a sound frequency, and then you kind of like expand it out with a surface on top, and then there's little ridges on in between, and in those ridges is where you can place things and they'll just like hold in there, right? Like you can actually levitate objects by using sound. That's in a similar way to the way that the chakras work. So if we're looking at the heart space, like it's coming out this way, it's coming out through the back as well. But for visual purposes, we're going to imagine like this corkscrew of energy coming up, and in between each of those layers, there are energy programs that are stuck into these different layers. And what's being stuck there is are things from our experiences, and then our ego like make a stamp on there, not just because it's like a traumatic experience that body doesn't know how to process. It's just like because the body went through that experience, it put a program there so that anytime something else that came that was a similar resonance to it, it would be able to protect itself. And as we're navigating through life and trying to elevate out of these different energetic paradigms that we're existing in, like the ones that you're born into, and then you just seem to be surrounded by, and then like that's energetic imprint that you have, that's the environment that you're operating in. Once you are able to like get outside of those environments, or even change from your internal state, like make your environments around you change, um those programs are being activated and utilized. But once you're outside of those spaces, you no longer need those, right? And so that's where like regular cleansing and purging comes uh becomes a very necessary way to self-care, because we need to sweep the body of those energies so that they're not stunting our progress going forward. And that's why we may even see situations like continue to reoccur when you feel like, oh, this is another pattern, like this happened with this person, uh, with a different type of person or a different type of situation, but it's very much of the same energies because that resonance is still coming out of you. And so when it's coming out of the heart space, um, all of these different traumas, it's really, really important to release that, to cleanse it, because when we're having new experiences, we want to be able to channel straight through there. And those are the opportunities too, whenever you're feeling something that's really dense, or you're having another like an interaction that is, to like really sit with yourself, allow the energy to flow through you, and understand like why you are feeling certain things, and where, if you remember where it might be attributed to, and even if not, you can just like open up your heart space and make the intention to release any programs that are no longer necessary. And that way, when we're moving forward, we understand that this, it's like a pulsar of energy, right? Like our heart, we channel a lot of energy through it, and it just like pushes it out and pushes it out. And that's why people who are wounded can push out wound, and that's why people who have a lot of love can also like push out a lot of love, and it impacts a lot of people. So you just want to make sure that any of the energies that are going through you are coming through your heart space, and you're assessing the amount of wounds that might be in your heart space. I just want to take a moment to thank you guys. And if you see that I am like breathing a little heavier whenever I'm in a channeling state, that tends to happen where there's so much going through my head and I want to say it, and I'm feeling like an intensity of the level of energy that I'm getting. And so I am translating it in the best way that I can, while also acknowledging that it's like a little bit taxing on me. And I'm not saying it with the amount of intensity that I'm feeling with, because it just kind of like flows in and it feels soft, but it just feels like a lot. And so if you catch me gasping for air, it's because that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. The next, let me just breathe intentionally before I jump into another stream. Okay, that feels a lot better. I feel more grounded. I was intentionally like pulling my energy down and grounding into the earth and creating these roots. So, our next one is the initiate of portals. The eyes are the portal to the soul. We've heard this, right? You've probably heard this. And the eyes can see a lot, right? You can look into a person's eyes and feel that there is extreme depth. You can also look into some folks' eyes and see that there's a glaze over top of it. And that very much is an indicator of what they're experiencing. You can look into people's eyes and feel a filter of sorts. It's different from a glaze because the filter is another energetic presence there. Outside of the one that's through the soul, it's kind of just like using the energy body of that being. I'm not, this is kind of taking a dark turn, as I got several different images right when I said that. And this is a moment for you to assess the lens that you are looking through right now. When you look through and you look out and around, and then when you go into the mirror and you look at yourself in the eyes, do you see your core essence of being? Or do you feel a little bit of an imposter energy? And when you're interacting with other people, it's the same thing. Do you see their essence, or do you feel a little bit of imposter energy, like there's another layer on top of them? That energy could be entity related, but it could also be a filter that they're putting on as a protective mechanism. And that is another way that you can gauge what somebody is going through. And to embrace with compassion, this is not about judgment. Just because you understand where people are doesn't give anybody the authority to judge another being, because even in doing so, to take the hierarchy out of it, the way that you view other people is the way that you view yourself, right? So if you're casting judgment upon another person for the stance that they're at, that means that at some level, like, you feel that way about yourself. And so assess if that comes up in you. And I feel it is important to say that it is very different to analyze situations and assess the levels that beings are at and come from a place of understanding and knowing and use that information to navigate, than looking at a situation, seeing and knowing and feeling like you're above because you know, and having a some sort of dense energy imprint about it, like a feeling about it, like any little bit of like ickiness. And I am feeling called to also say that it is different from a feeling of annoyance, because the annoyance is another code. The annoyance says a lot about your frustration within your own being, of knowing the information and not knowing what to do with it. My next card is the Cave, 8 of Earth Guardians. The cave is a safe space. It is dark sometimes, but not scary. It can be scary, as the potential to be scary, but it depends on how you view darkness. And if you view darkness from the understanding that it's just potential, it's just space that has potential for any energies to travel through it or any energies to just be, you can also feel that the dark space that's in the cave is surrounded by support. And it's surrounded by your ancestors, your angels, your benevolent spirit guides. Maybe there are other things lurking, but you can cast an intention to not hold space for things that aren't in energetic alignment. And really, the only reason those energies would be around you is because you resonate at some level of it. And it's not because you are dark yourself, it's because you've experienced something dark, and that energy is still in you. And I'm being called to remind you that it's not bad that there's darkness in you, or to even be curious of the darkness, because it's understanding the darkness and being becoming friends with it, where you can come from a place of compassion. And that's where the love energy comes in again, where you realize that the darkness is not an enemy, it is just another being reflecting to you, so that you have more information, so that you know how you want to navigate, and it lets you know where there are aspects of your being that are ready to be let go. Or perhaps if you are somebody who is called to do more work in environments that have a lot of darkness, it is a tool to help you understand the things that you are navigating, so that you know the proper ways to protect yourself. The cave is comfort. The cave is mystery. The cave is familiarity. The cave is where you are safe in the eternal essence of your being. I make a joke with someone about being the one that's holding hands with the version of them that is inside the cavern. And it's through this knowing of the dark space where your eternal self, your eternal essence of your fractal of being, the one that is all knowing, that it has this space that it goes to where it feels safe. And sometimes it retreats to it. But it's not meant to be a space to retreat to. It's meant to be a space to be visited and charged and realigned and recentered, and to be recalibrated. And then in this understanding, it is just a holding ground for that. You're meant to exist outside the cavern. And also, we're meant to come into the cavern. And in a less abstract way of viewing it, it's just taking moments to sit with yourself and feel the essence of your being, and feel safe in who you are, outside of what other beings think of you, feel of you. 10 of activations, infinite self-realizations. In the cave, that's where you see all. It's where you're connected with all. And the reemergence from the cave is what will bring you back full circle to the idea of being in it, but not of it. I'm hearing this song, which might not even go like this, but in my head it's going like this. The world is your playground, wherever it goes, however it flows, you always know. That's most definitely not the words to it, but for purposes of this channel, it is. Wow, right? Wow. There's nothing left to say. All that's left is to be. Till next time. Thank you. By the way, Ryan just woke up. He literally just woke up at the end of this. Oh, divine timing. So perfect.